Congressman Crank, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I was listening to a hearing from last year where you were talking to military officials about the future of Golden Dome. You talked about the unique perspective that you bring to this issue based on your past policy experience and why you understand maybe some things about the concept and its potential that other people don't.
Yeah.
So I was hoping we could begin there and you could just talk a little bit about what you bring to bear
Sure.
to this position.
Yeah, the question I think that's out there is Golden Dome is it a technically feasible thing to do, or is it just something that we just don't have the will to do? And I think all of the experts that I talk to tell us that it's technically feasible to do. It's something we can achieve. It's going to be a difficult thing to do, but that's when America's at its best, is when we're stretching the bounds of what we can technologically do. And so I start with that. I was a Hill staff person here in the 1990s. I worked on the House Armed Services Committee. Well, I didn't work for the committee itself. I worked for a member who was on the committee, Joel Heffley from Colorado. And he was a big advocate for the Strategic Defense Initiative at the time. And there were people then who said, this can't be done. We can't, they would say, you can't shoot a missile out of the air with another missile. That's impossible. Well, it was back then, but it very quickly became possible because we applied the technology and we let America do what it does best, which is go out and innovate. And so I think we're at that same moment here where people can say, it's not possible to do things like Golden Dome. But again, it wasn't possible to put a man on the moon when America decided we were going to do that. And so when we're able to do that, that's when America is at its best. And I think Golden Dome is a perfect example of that. We're going to look back on these moments as the defining moments that we finally decided that we were going to protect ourselves. And really, it's been a decades-long pursuit. You go back to what was called Star Wars back then, the Strategic Defense Initiative, derisively called Star Wars, I think, by people who didn't support it. But that was Ronald Reagan's dream, is that there would be a shield over the United States that would protect us. And we still today hear people say, well, it might not protect all of them. And, if there's X number of missiles coming in, could we be able to protect it from that? Well, if it's your city that gets protected, that you represent, if it's the city of Los Angeles that gets protected by a ballistic missile defense shield or a Golden Dome-like shield, is it worth it? I would say it is. And I think the residents of Los Angeles would say it is. Yeah.
So when you launched this caucus with co-chair Congressman Dale Strong about 7 months ago,
right,
you called it an educational clearinghouse for think tanks, for the military, for Congress. So can you take us inside that work, what it's looked like since then?
Yeah, and we're not where we want to be right now, and I think it's really because the Golden Dome architecture, as of right now, has not been formally signed off on by the administration. I mean, we've had some briefings about what it's going to look like, and General Gutlein, in my estimation, has done a great job of working to develop it. But way back then, when we first formed the Golden Dome Caucus, it just kind of occurred to us that it's going to be one of those things that we have to educate other members. Congress is an interesting place. We all come with different talents and backgrounds and knowledge. And, if you're on the Armed Services Committee, you probably know a little bit more than you do if you're on, natural resources like I am, or the Financial Services Committee, about things like Golden Dome. But most of the members of Congress aren't on the Armed Services Committee. And so we have to go out and help, I guess, kind of socialize this amongst members of Congress so that people do understand. First of all, we overcome that thought that it's not possible. That we want to show that it is technically feasible and possible to do Golden Dome. But then to be able to bring in experts from industry and others to help us, help educate members why this is important from not only a political standpoint, but from a national security standpoint, and then help us get over the line on support for Golden And it's not just, of course, Golden Dome isn't just ballistic missile defense. It's defense against drones. It's a defense against all sorts of other threats that are out there. And that in and of itself, I think we need to kind of break that thought in some people's mind. They think it's all just about incoming ballistic missile threat. And so I think there's going to be a lot of other committees, Homeland Security and many others, that will need to be brought in to make Golden Dome successful, Judiciary Committee, others, to give the military the authorities that they need, things like that. So this is really a way to try and build that consensus amongst members of Congress and allow industry to come in and help really shape what it's going to look like.
So are you winning colleagues over? What are the building blocks to creating that consensus that you're looking for?
Well, I mean, I think until we get the architecture, it's going to be difficult to kind of really advance the ball. And I really do hope that the administration signs off on that. They've got very aggressive goals to get Golden Dome deployed in a very timely fashion. Well, to meet that goal, we're really going to have to start right with the architecture as it's designed. So I think where we are today is obviously we're waiting for that architecture. And the first thing we want to do is actually bring General Gutlein in to talk about that architecture with members. And then once we do that, we can start going and building the consensus and letting people see, a lot of members of Congress seeing the role that companies in their district will play in Golden Dome. So we aren't there yet, and we've got a lot of work to do.
What are you hearing from the administration, but also from General Gutlein, who's the czar of Golden Dome,
Yeah.
And from the Space Force about when you might see that architecture, or is it just a waiting
Well,
game?
it's certainly been frustrating because we thought that we'd have it at the end of 2025, and we haven't seen it yet. I mean, I've been briefed on the architecture in a classified setting, but we need to, obviously we're waiting for the president to sign off on what that architecture looks like so that we can move forward. So it's definitely been something that many of the supporters of Golden Dome are anxious to get moving on. We just, we can only push so much. We just need the president to sign off and say, let's go. But I mean, as you know, in the One Big Beautiful Bill or the reconciliation bill, we actually already allocated quite a bit of money to Golden Dome, $25 billion to Golden Dome. So if we're going to use that the way that Congress intended for that money to be used, we need a plan and we need to move forward.